Barden, coming to you here from Hartland, Wisconsin, joined Jason Strout, professional fighter, coach, Absolute Muay Thai, color commentator. Jason, welcome.
Thank you.
So happy to be here with you again. Jason and I had, a few months ago, had an opportunity fighting through COVID. We did a little clip, and we want to kind of give you part two of that for the follow-up. It's been an incredible wellness journey in the last few months for all of us. Jason, let's start with how we start, of how we get through for our wellness.
Sounds great.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Jason. So, Jason, now we're after Labor Day, and it's been an amazing last few months, right? To try to keep, mentally engaged, spiritually involved, and certainly with our families and everything going on. What have you been doing to get through these last few months? And, from a wellness perspective, what do you think, the fighters that you've been around, and then family and other people that you've been around, what do you think's going on?
I'm in a very unique situation, Todd. I don't really have a lot of overhead right now. My work is kind of on hold. I can kind of pick and choose when I want to work and where I want to work. So I've been taking this time to explore the country. I've been driving out west, camping, seeing different parts of this country that I wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to do any other time because of work. I'd be busy training fighters, traveling around the world, and constantly busy. But I'm kind of on hold right now.
Okay.
And I don't have this stress of, I don't have a house right now. It seems funny. I kind of have a van that I live in, and I just drive around and stay at people's houses. And
okay.
It's like I said, it's a unique situation, but I'm making the best of it. I could be sitting around in my van, parked in a lot somewhere, being upset and sad, like, I don't really know what's happening. I have a very uncertain future ahead of me.
Right.
But I'm making the best of it, right?
Okay.
I got the ingredients that I have, and I got to make something that I can eat, something that's tasty. And I don't have a lot of ingredients, but I have something that I can work with, and I'm working with it, and I'm making the best situation possible, and I'm seeing things that I wouldn't normally see. Seeing the beautiful country that this country is, the things that they offer here, the Yellowstone, the Wyoming, Montana, Colorado, places that people dream of visiting, and I get to go do it because of this situation, and just trying to stay positive and just trying to find the best out of what's taking place, because it's a rough time. It's a rough time for everybody. There's a lot of people going through, hard times and not necessarily knowing what the outcome is. And I feel the same way. I can dwell on that, and it can really beat you up and beat you down. But I find my outlets, and I find my ways to bring myself up and find positivity, and find outlets, and find new things to explore, and things that I know that I can control, and I go after those.
Yeah, excellent. So we talked that, the follow-up, I had a lot of friends that reached out to me after our first clip, and the biggest question that they asked, that I think is a really interesting story, because there's a lot of people that'll watch this that are never planning to jump in the ring, and never planning to really train in the martial arts. But the question was this, that with the moment that you go in, and both of us having the opportunity to have been in the ring, and you've had more fights obviously than I, but the moment you go in and you touch gloves, you go back to your corner, and now it's on, right? So a lot of people have asked, what's it like? What did you feel like? What was going through your head? Were you game playing all of the rounds? And I want to get your input, but for me, it was really a different journey, right? Because, coming from a triathlon background, for those that know me well, competing in the Ironman World Championship and doing that sport is very cerebral, right? So along the way, you got a long time to swim and bike and run. You're thinking about everything about your performance, about what's going on, and it's pretty clear to you. It's very vivid. So the difference that the great coach Duke Rufus that you know, and as well as our friend Joe Nichols, who was my coach that got me to Thailand, he said, look, when you get into the ring, you're not going to remember those rounds. They said, you're going to remember flashes of time. but we'll need to show you the video to play back to you exactly what happened. Now, for me, having, baseball, basketball, football, everything was about thinking where you need to be and how you're going to do it, right? So,
of course,
I didn't believe him.
Yeah,
I didn't believe him. No, that's not the way it is. But I did find that going through that, he was absolutely spot on. And what I was told was everything will revert back to your training and your instincts of how you will perform during that time. And what I've since learned is that, your nervous system, and many people that are going to watch this are going to realize this is true. Your nervous system will just deliver to your body this incredible adrenaline dump. And this flight for fight is going to take over your whole body. And it's like it paralyzes your brain, right? And your heart rate goes up, elevated, all of this thing is going on. So what I found, and I wanted to get your perspective, is that that's what happened. I had to have the video played back, and it's like, I remember that, but I don't remember all of it. And that's just amazing. So the questions, I think, are twofold. Number one would be, what did you find when you were in there personally? And then number two, you work at the highest level in the world of, going to the top stadiums in the country, in the world, to commentate and talk to all the fighters immediately after the fight. And I'd love to know, what did they remember? What do they think? So what do you think?
So to answer your first question, Todd, you nailed it. You pretty much nailed it on the head with how you feel when you're competing.
Right.
There's that intensity, there's an adrenaline rush. Mm-hmm. It's pretty similar to what you've done before,
right? But
condensed, right? I mean,
yes.
You've done the Ironman, and that's an intense situation. But you have time, like you said, to think,
right?
And you have time to get inside your head and you start asking questions of yourself. It's like if you've ever been on a long run and you're like, all right, can I make it to the end? You push yourself and you ask yourself this, and you find little ways to kind of push yourself through it. But when you're in the fight, it's happening so fast, right? It's like you have all those emotions before, and then you get in there and it's like fast forward,
right?
You back in the old days, you had a VCR, you put the tape in, you want to get to the section, you hit the fast forward, and that's what it's like.
Right.
You want to get through that section, and it's over. And it's like, well, I missed a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You remember little pieces of it, you see little pieces of it, kind of little flashes in your head of, I threw this or I threw that, but it's not like a calculated plan. I mean, eventually it does get there when you have more fights and you have more experience and you can kind of read it, but there's still that flash of, it just goes by and it's over. Mm-hmm. It's like a glimpse, it's like a dream, and you remember bits and pieces of it, and then you watch a video and you're like, oh, I did do that, and I do remember that, and oh yeah, and you start putting it together, and it's like a puzzle, and it kind of all, pans out, and at the end you kind of see the big picture, but it just happens so fast, and a lot of people think you're fighting out of anger. You're in there and you're angry, and you gotta be mad at the guy to go get him and hit him and hurt him, but it's, when you get mad, it clouds your right. Focus, your vision. It really, takes you off the rails, and it gets out of hand. Like you'll see certain fighters, like a Roberto Duran got a Sugar Ray Leonard very angry at him for that fight, for their very first fight, and you saw the outcome that Sugar Ray Leonard wasn't the Sugar Ray Leonard that he should have been,
right,
as he was in the second fight. Mm-hmm. And certain little things like that can throw you off. So it's not fighting out of anger. It's not fighting out of fear. Mm-hmm. It's just, a lot of it's just reaction and just work you've done in the gym just comes out.
Right.
And now for the second question, as far as fighters that I've commentated on or watched or interviewed after the fight, you can see certain things that they've worked on because they do it over and over and it works for them. Mm-hmm. Certain style that they have will come out, especially at the higher level. Like they performed it so many times, it just comes out. It just happens naturally, and they have instincts and habits that they won't change. They'll always revert back to, but they'll try new things, and then especially at the higher level, they're able to adjust and maybe if one thing isn't working, they can apply a new thing. But then I've also commentated for newer fighters, and it's pretty much just go.
Right.
And you can kind of see what they've been working on to a little bit, but it's like they're a painter and they're just starting to paint, and they got the outline and they start filling things in, and then as their career goes on, then it's a beautiful picture. You can see the painting at the end, how it all comes together. But it's it's an interesting thing that we do, right?
Sure.
To get in there and compete, and somebody's in front of you trying to do the same exact thing, and they got the same thoughts, the same feelings, and it's just, it's a competition that you can't explain until you do it. You know, you can
Right.
run, you can play football, baseball, you can do a triathlon, an Ironman, and it's intense. And none of those, you can't really compare it because they're all special in their own certain way, and
Right.
you have to, you know, get through mentally. And a tough practice, and football practice is tough, and everything's tough and hard, and mentally you have to get through it. But there's nothing like a fight, right? There's nothing like getting in there and going against somebody else with those same feelings, same emotions, and they're trying to do the same thing to you. And there's a little bit of fear, but it's just so fast, and it's just over.
Right.
You know, it's just, it's like life, man. It just goes by. You remember the good things, you remember the bad things, and boom, you're at the end, right?
Yeah. Especially in focusing back to that, you know, in times like these, we are all under stress, right? I mean, all of us, everyone's going to watch this has some type of stress. So I believe that, you know, the experiences we've had have really helped, because the instincts and the training then take over. And I think that's just like life of anyone that's going to watch this. That's really what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So thanks for being with me today, brother. I appreciate it. And I'll end with words from the great Dr. Martin Luther King. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. And if you can't walk, crawl. Stay safe. Keep moving. God bless.